Right, so I was going to wait till I 100% of this game, but I decided not to wait because I just want to talk about it, because I talked about the first one a while back, so I just wanted to talk about Xenoblade 2 now. Because I've talked about my opinions and why I love Xenoblade 1, why I adored the game when I played it recently. But I played the second one first, right? I played the second one in January of 2018, a month after it came out, right? And I really enjoyed it, okay? I love that game. There's a lot about it that over time, I started to dislike, and obviously, because when you first play it, you look past it. There's a few things I really disliked at the time, or not at the time, but dislike now, and there's a few things that I really like now, that I disliked at the time, but we will talk about that stuff in a minute, because right now we're gonna move straight on to basically the main character, right, Rex. I have my opinions on Rex, but oh my god. I go back and forth on this guy so much. Because there's a part of me that's like, he's fine. He's like, you know what, to speak on him, he's like Ichigo, right? He does nothing for the story. He's not the reason you watch the story. He's just there. He's just the person you play as, the person you look to the story as. You don't care for him in any way. But then, sometimes I just hate him. Sometimes there's something about him where I'm like, you could have literally had a silent protagonist and I would have been happier. Do you know what I mean? There's a part of me that's like that. And when you get characters like Rex, I understand why they have silent protagonists, because there's a part of me that just would rather have a silent protagonist for Xenoblade 2, honestly. Again, you don't play Xenoblade 2 for Rex. No one cares for Rex. Everyone cares for the side characters, the other characters you play as, or Pyra and Mithra. I mean, mostly Mithra. We'll get into that now in a bit later as well, but like, there's a lot about Xenoblade 2 I really love. I love the story, I love the gameplay. The gameplay I think is better than 1's, by far. 325 hours I think, that was the last time I checked it. I think it's in the 50s now, so it's like 355 hours now I think, because my friends were checking it the other day. In that game, trying to 100% it. I love that gameplay. I adore it. I just think it's great, you know? The whole system of getting your arts up, then doing chain attacks, and breaking the orbs, and fucking doing a full burst. I love that shit. It's a system I really enjoy, and you don't have to press many buttons at the start of the game because it's auto attacks, and I think it works pretty well. And the monster designs are really cool. I enjoy all the different... The environments look beautiful, I will say. They look amazing, even better than 1's. This was the team that worked. This is a team that worked with the Breath of the Wild engine. I think they worked with for this. And unlike 1 where they were adapted for that engine when it came to Switch, these were made for that engine, and the environments look absolutely amazing. I really adore how they look. I think that's a big selling point for 2 is the environments. They all look fucking fantastic, and they're all done really well, and they have people in them as well. They're not like barren, so you've got people and you've got towns. So the environments are really well done in 2, and that's a big plus for 2. See, 2's plot is a completely different. Now we're gonna just off the topic before we start with 2. Actually, I'm gonna compare it to 1 a lot, because that's how I can kind of strengthen its strengths and like kind of strengthen its issues as well, because there's a lot to compare 1 and 2 about. So although this is kind of a discussion on 2, I will be comparing them quite often because they are interconnected at the end of the day, right? So let's start with this. The start of the story is quite slow, I gotta be real. It's very, very slow up until about chapter 3, where it gets going. The end of chapter 3 I think it is, or maybe it's the end of chapter 4, whichever one, where Mithra first comes into it, right? At the end of that chapter, it had the best cutscene, one of the best cutscenes in the game. The Drifting Soul starts playing, and then, you know, after that, what happens? And then after Mithra awakens, Counterattack starts playing, and it just gets the game really going. You're like, yeah, this is Xenoblade 2, baby. And it really has that hook moment that makes you want to keep playing. But that's about 10 to 15 hours into the game. And I'll tell you now, Xenoblade 2 did not have, or Xenoblade 1 did not have that. Xenoblade 1, within the first 2 hours, you were like, let's go. Oh, this is Xenoblade 1, baby. With the bridge scene where Fiora gets killed by Metal Face, bro. The first 2 hours in that game, you were like, when Shulk goes, I'll kill you. Like, that's gonna get you going. You're like, yeah, let's go. We're gonna play this game to the end. You know, that's the hook moment. But in 2, that takes about 10 hours to get to. Now, it's a game that can take you up to like 100 hours to beat. So it's not too, that's not too bad. But like, still, compared to 1, the amount of time it takes for you to get hooked is a lot more. And I can attest to this not only for myself, because I played it a while ago, and I've played it like 5 times, and I can tell you that when you replay it, the first like couple hours is really boring until you get to that part again. But I can also attest to it from a new perspective, because one of my best mates, he played 2 recently, and he was so like dead on the game until he got to that part. You know what I mean? But once you do, the game just kind of picks up again, and it gets really, really good for the rest of the game. And I really enjoy it, honestly. It's a lot more open in system. You know, when I was playing 1, I just wanted to, the story was so compelling, I just wanted to keep playing it. And the story does get compelling in 2, but it's a very open system. There's a lot of cool quests to do. There's a lot of blades you can get. There's a lot of blades you can max out and do their own plot lines, or you can just explore the world. It's a lot bigger world to explore and a lot more to do. And I think it's done really well in it, especially as you unlock different systems and unlock different things. The world just gets more and more exciting to explore, and I feel like more than I realized when first playing the game, the story is not what I really enjoy about 2. The story is great, by the way. It really, as I said, once that happens, the story really picks up. But it's still not on the same level as 1. 1's story was fantastic. Absolutely amazing. One of the best stories in video games. Honestly, I adored those stories. You know what I mean? I adore that story. But I did enjoy 2's story. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot more character focused than 1. 1 was a lot more plot focused and really focused on a smaller number of the characters, and that's why a lot of them are very one note. And when I say a lot of them, I mean Tora, Ricky and Charlotte were very one note, and some parts of Dunban, but Dunban got a bit more development because he was related to the main 3. But you know what I mean. Whereas Xenoblade 2 was very focused on characters like Morag, Nia, Zeke. I would say the only one note character for me in this game was Tora, because even his robot got development near the end of the game. You know what I mean? She got kind of development about like fearing the fact that she is technology and that technology destroyed this world before, and kind of that development on like, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna destroy the world, like, and Mithra having to try and comfort her, which I think is really nice. You know what I mean? I think it's really good character development and character kind of progression for these characters. Tora was the only one note character in 2 for me. It was a very good game in that sense, and even Rex had development. Now, not that I cared for his development, I didn't care for Rex, but everyone else in the game was amazing. Like, it wasn't like to 1 where I don't care for like 2 of the characters, you know what I mean? I like Ricky very much, and I don't like Charlotte, but and that's the thing, it's hard for me to say which crew I prefer more, because there's a lot. Although 1 is more plot focused, it still has a lot of character focused moments, but it's not as focused on character as 2 is. But it's so hard for me to say which crew I prefer, because I don't like Tora. Well, not that I don't like Tora, but I just don't like his whole gimmick, and I'm kind of getting sick of that gimmick as I age. Like, when I was a kid, I could look over it and I was thought, haha, funny pervert, haha, funny. But I just don't care for it anymore. It's not that I have a problem with it, it's just so irritating to see. It just kind of stops the pace of a story. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's that type of quirk that literally just stops the story in its tracks, or like will make you kind of. Sometimes it's hard to manage the difference between lecherous and like just kind of a bit horny. You know what I mean? It's really hard to manage that, and I don't think many games do, or even series do, and it just kind of makes the character that they have doing it seem very, very creepy, and I don't think it works in most series. The only one I could say that got it right very recently was, I think, Sylvain was done pretty decently, because they, through his supports, you kind of see a lot of his more kind of well done aspects. You know what I mean? Sylvain, I would say Sylvain is even done better than the Sanji from One Piece, because Sanji from One Piece is very hit or miss with that kind of thing. Like, in Thriller Bark, he was fucking disgusting. I hated him in Thriller Bark. But, like, up until, like, up until the Black Maria stuff in Wano after that, he wasn't too bad. Because it's just hard for me, honestly. I feel like I got a bit annoyed with this trope when it ruined Sanji for me. It really did kind of ruin his character every bit by bit. But then he got... Because Sanji is like the type of character where he's either my least favorite character or my favorite character. And he kind of... It goes from him being my favorite to him being my least favorite to him being my favorite again. But like, that's an entirely different topic. I'm going on a ramble about Sanji in a Xenoblade video. But it does bear mentioning that it's the same with Tora, although I don't actually like Tora at all. Like, the whole lecherous part of him, or the whole pervy part of him, I just don't care for. It stops the story in its tracks. It's not as bad as Sanji, it's only mentioned a few times, but whenever it is mentioned, it just stops the story right there. It kind of just makes it kind of awkward and embarrassing, and I just don't care for it. Because in real life, if that happened, you realize these people would get the shit kicked out of them, and then they wouldn't do it again. Like, people don't tolerate that shit, you know? Unless you're joking with mates, they don't like, no one, unless you're in a taking the piss session with your mates, is gonna tolerate some of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I didn't like that part about Tora, and Poppy's introduction, oh, that's really what I'm talking about here. Oh, I hated that. I despised that. Besides the reaction phase from Rex and Pyra, I despise that introduction. But again, I'm just gonna go on giving out about Tora and his whole lecherous side. Oh my god, I don't know, man. It's hard to overlook, and a lot of the time, and I do, because a lot of good stories have those type of characters, even protagonists. Like, even think of High School DxD. There's a lot of interesting world building for that show and a lot of interesting characters and action, but the main character is a lecherous character. You know, there's a lot. It happens a lot, especially in Japanese media, and I don't know, man. Hey, Tora, I just don't like Tora for that very reason. And again, I know, petty, but it's just a character trait that I've grown tired of over the years, you know. I don't have a problem with a lot of characters that have it as long as it's done well, but it just kind of slowed the story down in this part, and it wasn't done very well. You know, unlike Sylvain from Final Fantasy, from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I think was done very well, honestly, and I really enjoyed his character, and I think the whole kind of way they did it was very well done. But I feel like for Tora, it was not. I realized I went on a big rant about this, and I probably won't talk about the other characters nearly as much because I love them. You know, I just talk about their good points because I love all those characters. Morag is just cool. There's not much to her, honestly. Like, she's a very kind of static character. You feel like she's either been through her development already, or she's gonna go through it. You know what I mean? This doesn't change her outlook very much. She's still just doing a job. You know what I mean? She's just a calm and collected war general, just doing her job and getting it done and making a few mates along the way. You know what I mean? It's like she's just doing a job, and like that's literally all she's doing, and she's just trying to manage the political tensions between her country and Oriya and the Praetorium while she's doing this job, and I think that's really cool for her character. And her whole dual sword gimmick with like the fire whip for her blade and one for her as well is really cool. I enjoy that kind of, you know, that kind of lengthy sword thing. They did it with the Sword of the Creator in Fire Emblem Three Houses as well, and it was really well done there. I really enjoyed that kind of weapon gimmick, and I enjoyed here as well. And it didn't come to me until I started speaking about it now that it was a gimmick that they implemented for multiple Nintendo games, which I really like that weapon type of gimmick. And there's not much to say about Morag. She's just kind of get the cool, collected character that's already been through development, and she's just kind of there trying to manage political tensions and kind of do right by her brother in a sense by following an order to, you know, take care of Rex basically. So there's not much to her really. At the end of the day, I do enjoy her simplistic character though. It's kind of like Dunban in a sense. The characters that are really interesting are characters like Nia. Nia is my favorite character in this game by far. I really enjoy kind of her banter, you know, she's bantering Rex all the time. And so she's a really funny and interesting character at the start, and she has some really good lines. And then you get to her development, and it's kind of sweet and kind of tragic, you know, kind of the whole thing with her sister and kind of Nia or Jin taking her in, kind of hinting at his good side, you know, and her and Drummark, all the moments with them are kind of sweet. She just has such a mix of like tragedy and sweetness and entertainment to her that she's the perfect character at this lot. It's hard for me to say. She might be my favorite character in the entire Xenoblade franchise, but I have not decided that yet because I still really like Shulk. So it's her or Shulk, but definitely it's Nia or Shulk, but I haven't decided which yet, which I prefer out of the entire franchise, and I haven't finished X yet, so it's definitely not any of them right now, especially not fucking Tatsu. Oh god. I realize Ricky's the only Nopod I actually like. But however, no, I really enjoyed Nia, and she was just kind of a fun character, you know? And kind of all the good one-liners from the game kind of came from her and Zeke. And I think she's just the best character in the franchise, probably, besides Shulk maybe. There's a lot to talk about. There's a discussion to have between those two, honestly, which one are better. I think a lot of it about the game I enjoy is because of Nia. And let's not kid around. Her I played the English dub, right? And her voice acting really did kind of, you know, elevate all the funny scenes and all the kind of, I don't know why. Like, it's not like it was a weird accent. You hear that accent all the time where I live, you know what I mean? Or when you go over to the UK and where I live, because, you know, we're very close. As an Irishman, you're very close to UK, Welsh, Scottish, Scotland and all. I said Scottish as a Scotland and all. You're very close to that, so you have a lot of people moving between the countries, so you hear that. But I just think the voice actor kind of mixed in her accent with the lines she was saying in a very well done way that elevated the serious scenes and also elevated the comedic scenes. And I think she was probably the best voice actor in the game. There's a competition there between her and Malos. I think Malos is a good voice actor, but he also made a lot of memey lines, which I think might elevate him a little bit just because, but so did Nia, you know what I mean? Like, they're the two that made the most, who I think did a lot of the great performances, but also were very memey. And like, again, there's a lot of good voice talent in this game, like Sky Bennett for Pyra and Mithra. But I just feel like the situations Pyra and Mithra were put in kind of put that down for me rather than Sky Bennett's performance. Because Sky Bennett's performance is really good, and I watched her play the game as well. And her performance in scenes is very good, but I just think a lot about, particularly Pyra, brings it down for me, like the character themselves. So I can't really shit on their performance. Their performance was right up there with Nia and Malos. Same with Jin as well. There's so many good actors in this game, honestly. It's like Fire Emblem 3... I'm gonna keep bringing that game up here, haven't I? It's like Fire Emblem 3 Houses and the original Xenoblade. Like, the talent is really good in this game. I know people didn't like Rex's voice, and I can understand that. And I can't really give a good critique on his voice, because I have grown used to it over the, 6 times I've played this game, you know what I mean? So there's not much to his voice, I have an issue with now. I will say, yes... and it was a bit unusual, and I will say going back to it from hearing Shulk's voice is very unusual, but it's not bad per se. I don't dislike it. I'm kind of just in the middle about it. There's no, but again, I'm gonna say this again. Besides the Nopons, all the performances I really enjoyed. I just don't like the Nopon performances, specifically with Banner and Mui Mui. Oh my god, he's definitely the worst. I know it's intentional, but I just don't like that type of voice. And I know it's intentional, and I'm not being bad to the voice actor, because I'm sure that's what they wanted, and he did that job very well, but I just don't like that myself. You know, because again, you have to understand, it's hard to kind of you can be critical of the type of voices that the director chose to ask them to do, but you can't really be critical about the actor themselves, because they were chosen by... This is a big Nintendo game, you know what I mean? Like, these are vetted actors. These are definitely good actors. in the voice. So you can more so, if you don't like something, you can criticize the voice they were given to do or asked to do, like that type of voice, you know, rather than their own voice acting skills. Because we know everyone on this project was a very good voice actor, and you can see that by all their performances. You know what I mean? I just don't personally like the whole movie, the way they wanted to portray Mui. His voice was really grating. Again, nothing on the voice actor, he's probably great. I don't know the other performances he's done. I probably should have looked at it before I did this. And speaking of which, actually, I need to research Nia's voice actor. I have never done that, but I need to look at that. I will probably put it up on the screen from when I talk about Nia's voice actor, her name and all that. But it was really good. This game's voice cast was really good. How did I move on from the voice cast? I think I was talking about Nia. Yeah, I go on a lot of tangents, but that's kind of how I like to roll. I just like to go off the cuff. You know, I feel like I get the most authentic kind of thing off it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if I script it, I feel like a robot. So I just like to ramble on and shit. So moving on to Zeke for a bit. Alright, Zeke, I really enjoy his theme. His music theme, Bringer of Chaos. I have a remix of it on my Spotify and I listen to it quite often. You know, that's killer for me. I love that. And Zeke's the main comic relief character. He serves the purpose of Ricky in this game, while also serving the Melia purpose, being like the royal prince or whatever, the royalty. And I enjoy it. I do enjoy his arc, and like he's the same as Morag, but he still has an arc to go through, right? He's like, you know what? Funny enough, he's the type of person that he's the type of person I'm very fond of. You know, that character, that adult character that is really deep down a very serious character, but it's just there to enjoy life. So acts very goofy and kind of real jokey. You know, just kind of to enjoy life, and when he needs to get serious, he'll get serious, but there's no need to be serious other than that. Whether people think you're weird or whatever, you're just joking around and having a crack. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And whenever you need to get serious, you get serious, you know what I mean? And I feel like I try to do that myself, and I know my dad has done that much, and he is very much like that as well. And I think it's the best way to live, honestly. It really is. Just having the crack 24/7 is the best way to live, and just joking around. It really is. And then just whenever you need to get serious, you get serious. You don't need to be serious when there's no need for it. Just be a goofy idiot the rest of the time, just for the crack. And I enjoy seeing that in characters, because I think it works very well. And I enjoy it. And his dynamic with what's her name, Pandoria. Pandoria's dynamic with Zeke is real sweet, because they're not childhood, but they've been with each other for a very long time, and she knows everything about him, all the flaws about him, all the goofy shit about him, and they're just kind of taking the piss out of each other all the time. And it's nice to see, and I really enjoyed that about him. And again, when he gets serious, he gives some good advice to Rex, but he also selects him. He's like, oh yo, which one do you fancy? Like he's like you know, he's like just trying to get him flustered, and it's real cool. I always like that type of character, you know what I mean? And I enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. And not to mention his hometown theme, boys. I can't hum that like I did the other one, because I don't know it off. But it's really good, especially the nighttime and day versions. They're different, so you've got two versions of the song. Yeah. Oh, and let's not forget our Per Tortoise, or whatever his name was. What was his name? Fuck, their little turtle that they carried around. Turtis, yeah. That was a funny gag as well. They were giving out to Nia because they thought she slept on Turtis. That was funny. But, you know, they executed the funny character a lot better in this game, and I really enjoyed it. Now, Ricky was very funny, but I feel like Zeke was done better than Ricky. Because Ricky, what I really loved about Ricky was his moment with Dunban on the beach, and that's what really kind of endured me to Ricky in a sense. But I love Zeke from day one, from moment one, so, you know, I gotta appreciate that. I really enjoyed a lot of these characters. Now, Pyra and Mithra. Okay, that is a long, winding issue that I need to get out. I like Mithra, right? Pyra, I don't like very much. I don't have a problem with most of her character. I understand that, but I just think, again, and I'm gonna say this now, her design, just, oh no, I don't like it. Mithra's design is fine. It's not too bad, like, you know, it's fine. It's not, there's nothing wrong with her design, really. I can't remember, because I have the Smash design for her, so at least that's what I'm thinking of. I remember there's a cleavage window in her design, but other than that, I don't think it's any difference besides the fact that she doesn't wear tights in her original design. So there wasn't much I had a problem with Mithra's design. It was fine. It worked. But Pyra's design was just, oh, so weird, bro. It didn't work very well. It didn't give off, and I don't have a problem with that type of design, right? I get it. You know, some people like the design, that's fine. But it just didn't give off the energy of, you know, one of the most powerful beings in the world. You know, it wasn't like Mithra gave off that kind of swagger, that kind of confidence, even in her design and the way she posed. But although Pyra was supposed to be timid, that design doesn't show off power or timidness. You know, it doesn't work either way. That's a fine design. People can have it for certain characters. The more kind of suggestive characters that are more, you know, upfront with that, but not necessarily powerful, you know what I mean? But that's not Pyra. Pyra's not like that. It's weird. Her design does not work with her character, and thus her design is also really fucking strange as well. I don't personally like the design myself, but I can see what characters it would work on for if you wanted to give that design to a character, but it does not work for Pyra's character at all. She's supposed to be the kind of timid character that has the confident, like, kind of the confidence underbelly for being, like, super powerful at the end of the day. She should have had more, like, Nia's original design should have not been, like, it should have been, her design should have been more armored. I remember them saying that they wanted to show that she was incomplete, but here's how you do that, right? Very simple. See her design, the way it kind of, the first half of it looks like very tight armor, right? Make it more into an armor aesthetic, or into an armor like aesthetic, and have her missing. So you're missing the armor of the right arm, and you're missing the armor of the left leg or something, right? And then let's say you're missing, yeah, and then she doesn't have a helmet. Like, obviously that's not Mithra's design, but you still get the incomplete design, but you can still have a good design that shows off. And let's say a lot of, like, he shows off kind of the innate power that he each does have, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, but her design is just, she literally has pants that probably go up to, like, you know, if you're, like, go up to your fucking hairs, right? Literally goes up to your hairs, and then, like, just has a fucking top that makes you be able to see the belly button through it. Like, that just does not work. I understand some people like that shit, but no, it's not practical, and it doesn't convey her character very well at all. I feel like Mithra's design, although still, you know, Mithra's design works more than Pyra's design does. In a way, I think Pyra should have been more armor with missing parts than it was. You know, like, as I said, missing the right leg of the armor and missing the left arm of the armor would have done the whole she's incomplete a lot more than the design they went for, which was just kind of weird, to be honest, and didn't work at the end of the day, especially because she wasn't really a suggestive kind of the female version of Tori, you know what I mean? It would have worked more for a female version of Tori. Not saying I would have liked it, I'm not a big fan of that design in general, but it would have made more sense to have that design in a more suggestive character than Pyra, who was a more gentle kind of hiding the power of the Aegis type character. And it just, I'm going on about her design a bit too much, but you know what? I'm rambling about shit about Xenoblade, and that's what I'm going on about. But I Mithra, I really enjoyed her character, and I like, because she's basically, Pyra copies most stuff from Mithra besides the fact she's timid, right? Her entire backstory is Mithra's backstory because they're the same person. And Mithra is just a better character, right? Because in Xenoblade 2, she is she is basically, like in Xenoblade 2 Torna, we figure out that she's a teenager pretty much, right? And she's a kind of overconfident teenager. She's one of those type of people, you know what I mean? And she has the power that she can abuse, and then that causes problems, and then she gets not neglected, but she causes an issue, and then she's shut out from everyone, and she feels like, oh, what have I done? Like, I am the problem. She gets real depressed because she feels like she's the issue. She feels like she's the reason everything went wrong, and she locks herself away as Pyra, and makes herself weaker, and makes a character that she wants to be, in a sense. And it's not a commentary on this, but it does work. It's like, you know, when you're being yourself, it's kind of like you need to put on a mask, in a sense, and that's not the idea, but it does work for her character in a way, because, you know, she's so powerful that everyone kind of fears her, and she doesn't want that. So she creates Pyra to make her more appealing to people, in a sense. But then when she comes out in the original game, she's still very reserved now, and very not trusting of anyone. You know, she's very she doesn't like anyone. She's like very tsundere, but not like tsundere, not in the way of like, oh, ooh, I like you, but I don't want to say it. Tsundere in the way is like, she's not going to trust anyone very quickly, and she's going to be very mean to them and very aggressive in that sort of way. And it works, especially if you've seen Torna. I think Torna really elevates her character, because she needs to realize that people don't hate her. You know, the whole point of Xenoblade 2's story is that, like, her life is worth it. You know what I mean? She's kind of being shown that people care about her, and that she's worth living her life, and everything that she did wasn't a mistake. And, you know, and that's the thing that Rex does and the rest of the cast do, and it's very well done. And again, you could add some of this on the Pyra, but like, I feel like Mithra is just better executed in every single way, honestly. And again, she has some funny lines with Nia, and a really good interaction with Poppy, and kind of her perspective on the world, and how she kind of tries to explain to you Malos' outlook, and how she views his outlook is very, very interesting. I really enjoyed Mithra's character very much. I do wish we got to see more of Malos, though. Malos was a very interesting character that wasn't explored a lot. I wish we did get to see more of Malos. And Jin obviously was very well explored. There was a lot about Jin that I really loved. The whole thing with Laura, you can really understand after playing Torna again, because Laura is a really likable character, and you really sympathize with her, and really grow to enjoy her as a character, and kind of her motivations. Because they're very sympathetic, right? It's someone trying to find their mother that they lost a long time ago due to an abusive father. And then you find out, oh god, Malos burned the whole village down, and so on and so forth, which I won't get into. And then they adopt a child and stuff, and it's real nice. And they're kind of like a dysfunctional family, and then bam, what happens at the end of Torna happens, and that causes Jin to go down a evil rabbit hole. And you know what? It's completely understandable and justifiable at the end of the day, and you understand it and you sympathize with it. And he's a very good villain, probably the best in the game, because I feel like Malos is kind of riding off Jin's coattails, you know what I mean? Like, they're both elevating each other. Malos is a very good villain, but I feel like by the time you finish the game, you care more about Jin than you do about Malos. So they're a duo in a sense. I feel like if you're to include the both of them, they're very good villains in two of them. But Amalthus is like a mini boss. You would have thought he'd be a main boss, but there's nothing to him. He's just a pure evil type of person. Again, he elevates Malos' villainy in a sense, because it's like he rubbed off on Malos by the way he kind of, you know, resonated with him, and the reason Malos wants to do all this is partly Amalthus, and you have to deal with Amalthus first, kind of proving you can deal with Malos, and it's a really cool way to view it. And I like how Jin killed him off. I like how it wasn't the main cast, and I appreciate that, because Jin was done very well, and the fact that he went back to how he was at his last moments was real nice. And you know, we see hints of him still being a good person by saving Nia and saving everybody, and he's still looking after Mikhail as well. So, you know, Jin is a very good character, and he was also designed by the same guy who designed Sephiroth and Cloud and all that, so that's cool. Really fucking cool. And again, as I said, with the rest of the cast, his voice is really well done, and I did the English dub, by the way. Again, people said there was voice syncing issues in the dub, but honestly, I don't notice that type of stuff. It doesn't bother me too much. It's not something that gets on my nerves. There's other stuff that gets on my nerves, as I was talking about earlier. But you see, there's so much good in this game, character-wise. The characters are so good in this game. I really enjoy the characters in this game. And we have individual kind of blades that you're able to summon, which is a mechanic where you can summon different... It's kind of like the servants from Fate, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing, except you can have 3 at a time, right? And I really enjoyed the different characters. They're a lot more one-note than the main blades. Like, they're not as three-dimensional. Some of them are three-dimensional, but most of them are kind of more two-dimensional, have less complex personalities and plot lines. But they're very, for a side quest type thing, they're very well done, and they have their own plot lines that last about an hour to an hour to an hour and a half or longer. So it is very, very nice, you know what I mean? And I think it's a very good, considering there's like, I'd say about like 30 of them, probably, not including the DLC blades. It's a really good thing, like, because you're able to develop them very well. Like, even the ones I was doing recently, I really enjoy the character of Theory, and she had a whole plot line with one of the other blades. And her entire, I'm not going to go in, like, her entire plot line was, they were both mercenary blades, they worked for a mercenary, but the one, Praxis's core got, or her blade driver died, and they lose their memories when they die, and they're re-resonated. So Theory is doing her best now to kind of go to bring Praxis to places to revive her memories, and when she can't do it no more and she has to fight Praxis, she's so sad. Do you know what I mean? And she attacks her driver at the last minute because she doesn't want to remember. She doesn't want it to be around where Praxis can't remember her, and then she dies in Praxis's arms, and it's nice and sweet. It's a really nice plot line. And then there's this plot line with I can't remember her name now because I don't have her in my party. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm sure it will end pretty well. With the dragon lady, it's a dragon lady with pink hair. She's in like a dragon mech, and so she destroyed all of Tantal, like part of Tantal's main city, and she was sealed away. And when she was unsealed, you said, like, I won't let your power be misused. And then she goes berserk in one of their plot lines as well, and she gets scared of her own power, kind of like Mithra. It's kind of like a small version of Mithra's power, but it's more Tantal focused, and it's more subdued in a sense, right? And it's real, like, these are the type of things you'll get, you know. You won't get real complex long plot lines, but they're very nice. They're very nice to have, and they really flesh out the blades a little bit, and it makes you care for them in at least somewhat of a level, you know. There's a lot of cool designs, they get cool plot lines, like Percival. I haven't done Prune's one yet. I don't even know if she has one. Neither have I done Zenobia's yet. There's a lot I still have to do, so I'm not going to comment on all of them. They're the ones I've definitely finished or I'm about to finish. But each of them have different plot lines, and it's really, really cool, and it adds a lot to the game. And this is what I was saying about the main story not being the biggest pull of the game, because there's a lot of these blades. Now, I don't know if the DLC blades have DLC quests. I remember them not, I don't think. But again, a lot of these DLC blades have already been fleshed out in the base game because they're like extras. But I would like to add, I'm a bit disappointed with a particular part of the DLC, I must say. I love Torna. Torna's great. I think it was such an amazing thing. But it shows Jin as a playable party member, and I would have liked if they added it so you could have Jin as a blade, as a little secret thing, because you're able to have all his other underlings, but you're not able to play as Jin or Malos as a DLC blade, and I think that would make the DLC perfect for me, honestly. Even if it was just Malos, because you get to play as Jin and Torna, it would have been real cool, because then you'd be able to play as the 3 just as on one character. That would be a sick thing. Well, kind of, because you get to play as Shulk, actually. You don't get to play as Alvis, but it would be really cool, and I would really enjoy it. Oh, I realize I'm talking about the characters mainly here, because I didn't get into much about the battle system, because the battle system is kind of, it's complex, but it's simplistic at the same time, and I really enjoy, the characters were the main focus of this talk, because this is the main thing I wanted to talk about when it came to the game, right? Because the game, I'll tell you now, the gameplay is great. The gameplay has a lot to it. again, as I said, it's a lot about doing driver. It's doing combos and building up kind of orbs to do a massive combo at the end, and then getting, and it's just a really and then you get like a full burst, and it's like a cutscene with a cool move, depending on who got the full burst. And it's just, it does that constantly, and you can do different combos, and it's real cool. The animations for it's real good as well. It's just a really nice system, especially compared to 1, where I didn't know how you continue to chain attack in 1. That was really fucking strange. But other than that, like, they're 2 different combat systems, but I think I prefer 2 personally. And I feel like the healers are better in 2 as well, so that is handy as well. So maybe a tiny bit easier in a sense. Maybe that's why I like it. I don't know. But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed, as I said, I was talking about the characters for ages there, but I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. Now, as I said, I don't have much to say on Rex. I just think he does the job fine. I don't really care about him. Again, like Ichigo from Bleach, as I was saying earlier, he's not the push. You know, the plot and the other characters are the push. Why you keep going. It's not the main character at all. Why you keep watching or playing the game. You know. But I love this game. I've put over 300 hours into it, so of course I love it. And as I said, as I hope I will show off in the footage if you're watching it rather than listening to it, the game is beautiful. The game really is gorgeous. To end this off, the game is amazing. And there is a last thing I have to talk about though. The game's visuals are gorgeous. Like, I was gonna move on to the music real quick, but I actually want to name off some areas that I think are fucking absolutely immaculately done. Right, Letherian Archipelago. Oh my god, that looks so gorgeous. Or some of Uriah, when you get like to the top of Uriah, that is fucking amazingly done. Like, that visual is great. And the kind of steampunk aesthetic of more like industrial aesthetic of Moradane is so gorgeous. I love it. Or lastly, one of the ruined city of Moratha, like the difference in how they did this, they all look amazing and they're all done really well. And honestly, the world design is amazing. For 40 people who worked on this game, like, hats off to you, mate. Hats off. Amazing. It was fantastic. And I struggle so hard to figure out which one I prefer, because obviously I prefer 1's story, but I prefer 2's gameplay. And I prefer 2's exploration. But, like, and the characters are so split down the middle. You know what I mean? So it's really hard, because I feel like they're both great games. And if anything, 1 only wins out because of its way system. Because that's one thing I will say before we move on to the music, actually. The waypoint system could be improved, and they did improve on it on Definitive. So I played Definitive. I know one original had a bad way system as well. So I'm not going to comment on that. But I know Definitive, they fixed the way system. So I'm really... Hopefully in the next couple of games they fix way systems, because it was a bit too strange for me when I was first playing the game. But other than that, the gameplay was perfect except for the fucking way system. But well, that's fine. We can move on to the music now, because I do want to end it off talking about how great the music is. Because the music in this game, oh my god, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, bro. Bringer of Chaos. I listen to that all the time. Counterattack. Torna's battle theme. Boys, these are killer tracks. Oh man, you will recall our names. Like, these are killer tracks. And then to tap it all off, right? You know, when you're playing as the DLC Blades, you get the main tracks of the other 2 games. Uncontrollable, and you will you will remember our names. Like, that's fantastic. These tracks are amazing. Mordane's track, Tantal's track, which I was talking about earlier, Gormot's track, especially its Torna version of the track, is fantastic. This music is great, and 1 had amazing music too, but 2's music is glorious. Oh my god. Drifting Souls, bro. Oh, I love that music. I love it so much. I love that music. Oh man. I can't talk. I can only gush about the different tracks. I can't tell you the different compositions or compositions and why I like it, but I do. Oh man. it's fantastic. The music is just fantastic. I love the music. I want a soundtrack. Give me like a vinyl or a CD of that, please, of the soundtrack, bro. Please, 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 please. Like, if I could pick, like, oh man, I wish more games had soundtracks and like buyable soundtracks, because there's certain ones you just want to hear. My friend got Xenoblade 1's vinyl soundtrack by getting the collector's edition, and I'm so jealous. I wish 2 had that as well. Oh, I can just imagine in my kitchen when I'm making tea, just bopping to like Counterattack or Tantal's Team or Gormat, where I'm like do 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 do, and just doing that. Oh, that'd be sick. Alright, the music is amazing. I'm sure you could tell because I got real giddy when talking about it, but I have some of it on my Spotify, some of the remixes on my Spotify playlist, because sadly, game developers don't upload their actual soundtracks to Spotify, which please do, by the way. Especially Nintendo. Like Pokemon upload a few things to their soundtracks and stuff. Not their soundtracks, sorry, but their anime intros. And I think Nintendo should realize you can get some good money off uploading your soundtracks to Spotify, because you can you'll get a load of listens, man, and they would do pretty well, and they would increase the amount of people actually caring about music as well. If you're caring about your music, and then more people would give more recognition to the composers, and which fuck I should do. Here, I'll be back in a second. Alright, okay, yeah, while we're here, because again, I didn't know this until now, but I will give him a bit of recognition here, because I don't know if there's multiple composers or how music works, but this is the one that shows up. Yasunori Mitsuda. Yasunori Mitsuda. Mitsuda is the composer for Xenoblade 2 soundtrack, and it's fantastic. This is a fantastic man. I love this man. This is a great man. You are an amazing man. You should rule Japan. You are an amazing man. I'm joking, but he is an amazing man. I love this man. He's great. His music is fantastic. I don't know if it's one composer for this, but this is the guy that's showing up. I'll put his name on screen, because I pronounced it horribly, and I deeply apologize, mate. Honestly, I'm just not good with names in general, or pronunciation in general, bro. I don't know. I'm just really bad with pronunciation. I don't know, mate. I'll try it again, just to try and be more respectful. Yasunori Mitsuda, I think is how you pronounce it. I'll put his name up on screen. But he made an amazing soundtrack, and that is the last thing I've got to say on this game, though, about how great the soundtrack was. Again, there's some bits we can talk about the ending of the game, which I might make in an entirely separate thing, talking about the future of the Xenoblade franchise. And I realize I bring up like ideas of future videos a lot in these, but like I'm just not reminded, and I forget if I don't have a lot to say when I go down to actually say it. But I have had a lot to say about Xenoblade 2, and I love him. I love this game. I love this game so much. Oh, my head is constantly having a battle between which is better between 1 and 2, and that shows you how good these games are. Yeah, bro, honestly. Oh, there is one thing I should have brought up earlier. Just before we go, actually, I wanted to bring up one thing I don't like, is the Argentum scene. I'm sure you remember that, but just telling you now, that Argentum scene, the only good thing about that in that scene was when the Gramps, your man, goes, she's definitely showing off too much skin there, and Dromark just goes, pot me kettle, and I just think that was the only good thing about that scene. Everything else in that scene I just did not like at all, and they repeated it in Torna, but it wasn't too bad there, but still didn't like that very much. But again, the rest of the game, grand, great, loved it, adored it. But I just wanted to bring up that scene. Surely I'll bring it up eventually in another thing when I'm talking about it, but I just wanted to bring it up briefly because I was fanboying about the music, and we might as well end it up. I just want to talk about everything about this game that I want to talk about, get it all out, talk about it all, just kind of, bring up everything, because this is my big Xenoblade 2 discussion, so I just wanted to talk about it. Oh my god, okay, 51 minutes. Yeah, that's a long time, boys. Yeah. Again, hats off to the team that made and Monolith itself that made Xenoblade 2. I love you all very much. You made an amazing game, and I'm sure some of you made one as well, and hats off to you for that as well. You made another amazing game as well. And for 40 people to make this amazing looking game and an amazing playing game, like, hats off. Absolutely amazing, honestly. And again, a big hugs and hugs and kisses. Nah, but I love this man. I love this man. This man who made the composer for Xenoblade 2. I love you. You're a great man. Yeah, Yasunori Matsuda. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but you were a great man. And yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about Xenoblade 2. Fucking amazing game. And yeah. Now, all this, and very last thing now. Please give us Xenoblade 3. Goodbye.